going on. Entering this one, Nightmare and Shikigami, storied teams so far who have played in the Invitational, dude. I think we're both looking forward to this one. The fact that it's already a loser bracket match this early.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the bans here. Yep, we're going to take Groot right off the table on the side of Nightmare. They don't want to see that. Loki down as well. Nothing too surprising there just yet. But, you know, I think we might actually allow the Venom through. Both teams very confident on the Venom, so I wouldn't hate to see a battle of, you know, of the symbiote here.
Interesting Hella Protect for the side of Shikigami. Considering how Nightmare was playing earlier and how Millennia was as well, I'd be curious to see who gets the better of that matchup in terms of the Hella, because Amadian is incredibly good on that character, but so is Millennia. And meanwhile, Adam Warlock Protect for Nightmare. Be forcing out a potential triple strategist composition. Luna Snowband, make sure no Namor is involved into the composition.
Yeah, I don't see anything too surprising here. I guess they are going to just ensure the Guardians comp goes bye-bye in terms of at least the Mantis. Pretty much every time we see a Warlock lock, they block out the Mantis instead of the Star-Lord. I think that leaves, you know, I think the idea behind that is both teams like running the Star-Lord. They're not afraid of the Star-Lord, so why not get rid of the Mantis so that at least they can't run that triple strat if they're not confident? I guess that's probably my best take as to why they do that, especially for the side of Shikigami.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Unless they, yeah, no, because you could just play, you could swap out Star-Lord for Winter Soldier, so yeah, you can't really swap out Mantis for anything of the triple strategist at the current moment. Now we head into the map, though, ship. Gonna be incredibly exciting for this one, dude. I mean, Shikigami and Nightmare, two really good teams, and one of them are already going to be out of the tournament this early on.
Yeah, this is one of those maps for convergence maps that we see a lot of people holding point one. We've seen a tie here in a previous tournament, so definitely on the table on that point one. They do have a lot of angles of attack, but also a lot of angles of defense. So it is very much a battle of communication and understanding, and those early picks are very valuable. We will see the Hellas peeking behind, as Hella can make that off-angle play around the team. Amadian going to be on the high side there, as Millennia is going to be attacking, and here we begin with Nightmare off the rip.
And this is a 1-2, by the way, best out of 3. You can see those little unhighlighted boxes right now as we start the series off 0-0. Shikigami now, like you said, on that defense, they have to be aware of these flanks. Amadian already gets stunned, so Millennia is already kind of doing something, being a nuisance to the side of Shikigami here, as they've kind of had to give up a little space already.
All right, here we go. Ricky gonna get pulled down, tries to escape, but gets caught. Ricky still turning a pick there on Pizza, but it's gonna fall. Evens out the strategist line quickly. Ricky gonna come back too from the res. If you're gonna pick anyone, might as well be the raccoon, because that res falls as well. So well done. I'm surprised that worked out for him there on the defense of Shikigami. Craze with an early pick on Millennia too on the high side here with Venom dunking on the back line. Gonna escape and retake the height. Well done here, owning this space with Venom is a unique strategy. I don't think I've seen too much, just looking straight down and just attacking from the high ground, dunking off cooldown and retaking the height. So it is going to be a little more difficult there when you have Luca on the Thing. The Thing, a real good counter for things like Venom. So we might see some value out of that, but I'm surprised he's not playing it.
Yeah, it is interesting how he's made the full transition over to the Thing, and it's kind of working out. I mean, they both strategist ultimates. Kraz might go down early here. I mean, that's a huge opening elimination. Kraz back to the spawn, no BRB to bring them back. Boundary early commitment from Bazier as the see you later from Dinks is there.
All right, Luca gonna get 1 pick, but Amadian, Daze, and Scatter gonna get 3. Bazier comes back from the res and gets Daze after the fact. So this one's heading kind of back in the attack side, but it's not over yet as alts are being popped. Ooh, my goodness, Kendrick gonna drop Dinks. Does not get the reset though from Kendrick, so, you know, there could be a turnaround. The teleport comes through, good retake. Well done by the Venom, but Strange is in a scary position here. Scatter very low is going to fall, and this might be, oh, okay, another pop here, holding the point at the very edge before the 3rd tick. Just a very back and forth fight, but they're still holding on tight as Shikigami does believe. Craze does have that ultimate here from Venom to buy him some more time should he want to. He jumps off point. Here comes the take here. Does pop ult. Still holding on. This has been such a struggle to maintain this point, but they are doing a good job of it.
Oh yeah, doing a great job indeed. That was honestly off of Luca connecting with his Thing ultimate, clobbering time onto everybody of Shikigami just as the invisible boundary was about to run out. So the timing perfect from Nightmare. Can see why Luca's prioritizing the thing, at least today, able to find that combination into the end of the fight. 4 minutes now into the second phase of the map. Amadian is swapped over to the Psylocke, maybe to look for more backline pressure onto Pizza Demon or Baser. Honestly, don't hate it these days. I think originally I was a little bit of a Psylocke hater, but it kind of has a place in the meta right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think that Psylocke is kind of making a return in terms of meta placement. A very strong hero in her own right, ton of burst damage and potential hit scan. Just has a lot going on for her kit, but, you know, found a little bit of a struggle as teams are feeling really confident on those strategist backline support ultimates. But as teams are slowly changing off that and doing things like Rocket, it does bring her right back to the top of the meta as 3 ults get popped here. Mace goes up, Millennia gonna find Daze. Kendrick gonna take out Amadian, and yeah, Nightmare just on a rampage as Kendrick gonna do what Kendrick does on this hero and just try to reset 1,000 times. Ooh, takes a ton of damage. Wow, these strategists really good focus there to keep Kendrick into the fight. Well done by the side of Baser and Pizza as they are continuing to press forward. Millennia, the only one with an ult up right now.
Yeah, right now dive isn't really working. It just seems to be that the output of damage between Kendrick and Millennia is far too high. Here comes that Psylocke ultimate, immediately disengaged by Luca, who gives that damage resistance. So everybody's on Kendrick, keeps him alive. Daze also need KO'd, so the peel is there, just constant. Look how bad they want Kendrick and can't find him. It's just constant pressure, but nobody's able to eliminate Kendrick, the absolute boss of the map right now. He's turning into a raid boss, that is, as Nightmare keep this cart moving forward. 2 minutes to go. They don't have a lot of ultimates at the very least, but Shikigami keeps committing everything to these fights, Shiv, and it's just not fruitful whatsoever.
Yeah, we talked about the value of Rocket, obviously giving the unlimited ammo, the Z-Pack to Kendrick, but just look at the ult charge. We saw this ult, what, less than a minute ago, and he's already back at it again. So the unlimited ammo power not only does a ton of damage and enables him to pop off, it also lets him press Q like this and start off with 1 pick on a Craze. Can we get 2? Can I hear 3? Raise them! 3! Let's see 4 and 5, bang! Continuing up as Kendrick is on an absolute rampage, sweeping 5 and pushing point 2.
I love this guy on the Winter Soldier. I mean, truly is a good, a generational talent on Winter Soldier. You know, I mentioned how Kendrick was one of the top Winter Soldiers, is like Terra, for example. Another one of those top Winter Soldier players. Daze had a really good game on Wolverine earlier, but as it stands right now, it's been tough for him on the Winter Soldier. Maybe if he had the Hela of Melania on his team's side, that would help. Because that early pick on Amadian sets their team back again. I mean, it felt like every fight so far. We just sung Psylocke's praises. Not right now. I mean, Millennia just shut out Amadian every single fight.
Yeah, there is going to be a slight advantage, I guess, towards Shiki, but it's just the momentum shift again right here. Ton of time on the clock still. 2 minutes and 15 is going to be a few fights at least. So Nightmare now, with the cart being as far as it is, it's all about one big fight, and then the Stagger Fest begins, and it's about, can Shikigami pull it together to hold on? So it's going to be very much who gets this first pick to set the tone on this next fight. But then from then on, it's about communication and understanding and not overcommitting, especially on the defense here for Shiki, who does have 4 ults ready. And as we talk about it, there goes the Meteor M. Will it find purchase? No, it does not. Luca very low on HP, does use Yancey Street to get out. And here comes the initiation from Craze. Oh my goodness, with that rocket combo, Kendrick does fall an insane amount of damage with that combination. Insane with the Feast of the Abyss, and then comboing it up with the Cosmic Yarn. It's a combo we haven't seen much of, but it's so strong. Millennia gonna take out Amadian, trying to get a little bit of that Hela difference. Pizza showing how strong Rocket can be damaged. Down goes Scatter. Luca gonna take out Daze and Ricky, and man, Nightmare just walking away with this.
Yeah, they really are. 1 minute and 14 seconds left. You just have the Venom to deal with on the cart, and unfortunately, not seeing too many of these combinations pan out for Shikigami. I mean, they committed both that Cosmic Yarn and then that Abyss again, like you mentioned, and it just did not result in anything. Amadian comes back on the Hela, finally able to get an elimination. Millennia's already gotten Jinx in the meanwhile. Daze here towards the objective, able to get 1 elimination as well. The KO's coming out for the defense, so they've been able to stabilize off of a nice ultimate from Amadian, who is now swapped back over to the Hela, and that could be the missing piece that Shikigami needs. Daze also over to the Magic. They're trying something a little bit out with the Scatter onto the thing. This is like a hard commit on the dive, and you know, we'll see with Daze and the Venom if they can combine for an elimination. If they don't, Nightmare might just get stuff out Shikigami.
Yeah, I like this change. I do. I want to see a Magic pop off. So if I'm being real, I just want to see Magic strong again. Don't play Magic myself, but ton of fun to watch. Kendrick does fall early. Immediate. That's a massive pick, but the res does come through. Mace going to take down Crazemang, and Bays are going to drop Days. Oh man, back in Nightmares are path heavy here as they're just kind of walking this back home, and that should be enough for them to push this through with 0 seconds on the clock. Ooh,
overtime.
Soon.
Yeah, overtime boundary, they're here, but Day is going to fall as they walk back in. I mean, it might just delay the inevitable. We'll see what happens. Maybe Kraz can find an elimination. Does not have a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier to help support it, however. And yeah, Kendrick connects onto another one. Kraz touches the payload for, or doesn't touch the payload for a split second, and Nightmare fully cap out. Yes, with no time left, but the way they did it, Shib, it felt like they were never out of control.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there was ever a time that I think Shikigami, granted they're on the defense, but there was never a time I felt they were on the attack. Do you know what I mean? They were not pressing them back in space ever. It was always a let's get our footing back on where they had us. Never a, okay, we're winning this fight, let's take it to their spawn. So I do think that was a one-sided map right there, heavily towards Nightmare.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, we were wondering, you know, why, at least you brought up the question, and we talked about it earlier, Luka not playing the Venom. Can see maybe why a little bit, right? He's so good at peeling for his teammates. Really has done a good job, rather, keeping Kendrick alive, keeping the backline alive, creating space, getting ultimates that are perfect, right? Well-timed ultimates, not even just like committing them just to throw them out there, right? Using them right after Strategist ultimates are committed, perfectly placed. And, you know, for Nightmare, they're glad to be in the position they're currently in. Shikigami, meanwhile, Venom really wasn't working out, right? I mean, it was every time they were going for those dives, they couldn't get those eliminations. That's the entire purpose, right, of that comp. There's not a lot of CC Venom brings to the table, unlike the side of the thing. So Shikigami not feeling too strong about their defensive game plan, so they're going to try to mix it up here now on attack.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think that changed. Like, to be honest, based on what we saw in Nightmare last time, Luka was very much on a Venom Hulk or trying to make a strange play work, right? And I will say this change over to the thing has been, for at least from what we've seen, a massive change, a big advantage for them. It seems like it's getting a ton of value, shutting down things that are trying to attack his backline and just using that Yancey Street. For those who don't know, Yancey Street charge is that charge that gives you 200 shield for the thing, but as soon as you end the charge, which there is a setting that's on hold so you can almost instantly pop it, will leave an AoE on the ground that'll shut down movement abilities. Nobody can move when you're near that AoE. So using that just to press the button when anyone around is around, like Venom, it does not allow him to web away. So you can use that. I would highly suggest you use that on your backline strategist so that people that are diving them have no escape pattern. Instead of just trying to pop it, you know, necessarily immediately, I would wait until you know they're going to try to leave, then use that skill to ultimately shut them down in their moment of need. So we see a lot of value from that here from Luka. Great play here. Kendrick trying to find an early pick. Barely missed, but still going to find value on a Median.
It's almost like Amadian just walked into him. He like wanted to go down there. That was kind of unfortunate that Amadian walked the wrong way. If Kendrick didn't fall off the side, that pressure, that damage is coming through. Armed and dangerous to the main side of Amadian. Oh, nice pixel shot on the Millennia, but it's brought back by a BRB, and Baser on the side takes down Dinks, removing their BRB out of the fight. Also, see you later committed by Shikigami in a lost team fight. You know, that's not ideal. Come back into this fight without that ultimate.
Yeah, we lost Craze there early on in the fight. They are going to retake here off on this left angle. It seems like Luka played a little aggressively here. Mace does have that Meteor M ready, and we've got Bucky as well. So combination ultimates, things that are fight winning are ready, and we can shut down maybe Ricky here on Invis with Mace. We'll see how this next fight shakes out, but ult advantage going to be on the side of Shikigami on attack, but like we mentioned, we know how Kendrick can be with that crack and impact, and we know how Mace can be with that Meteor. So a very big fight coming up as Mace pops that Meteor M, looking for the backline. Whoa! That was insane as Mace hits a Madian virtually out of the sky. Does get res though, so only gonna burn that cooldown, but really well done there by Mace.
Yeah, Mace has a lot of style so far on the Magneto. Nice sky shot with that Meteor M, like you said. Now they go back into this fight. Shikigami at least have ultimate charge. They're gonna have their own Meteor M ready to go. Nightmare, only ult they're gonna be missing will be Mace. Median though on the flank again, top right angle. You can hear these footsteps though, right? So I'm sure he's aware. Median still able to take the better of that duel into Millennia. Nice opening pick. Millennia's brought back by a BRB, and you know that makes this fight even. Daze though, able to take down Mace. That's nice for Shikigami's side, finally getting advantage leading forward.
Oh, see, a great shield there, Invis with a Guardian shield, just to try to allow that 1v1 a little bit more in their favor, make it a 2v1. A Millennia with a nice pick there on Dinks. There goes that res as well. Kendrick following up with Craze, resetting on to Amadian, very low, not able to focus it anymore. Good dive away, good escape, punching to the other side of the high ground. Beautiful play as they do reset. Nightmare gonna retake the point, 44 seconds on the clock, but we do have the combination of that Cosmic Yarn with the Kraken Impact, so could be something big here from Shikigami on this next fight. Millennia as well, holding on to the Goddess. So we could see a little bit of a back and forth in this next fight.
Could definitely see it. Pull onto the Winter Soldier of the top side, forcing him to use the movement abilities. Also, Cosmic Yarn popped out here. Eye of Agamotto available. Daze goes down. BRB should bring it back into the fight, but at this point, I mean, Mace is just controlling the objective. Eye of Agamotto is going to be here in the fight. Millennia's ultimate eventually runs out, and 1v1 still kind of happening on the coastal side, whereas Crash trying to find this pickoff now.
Gray's playing a little bit of aggressive. I like the idea here, trying to find the Hela and just don't let Hela leave your sight, and does get the early pick there. Well done by Craze. Sure, it does have that ult as well, but Feast of the Abyss going right on the backline. Good push away. Oh, no. Unable to make it happen. Holding on to that Q is a tough spot to be in. Meteor up in the sky. Great shield there. Tries to throw it behind. Great idea, but not going to work out as it gets immediately returned on. Millennium going to get that pick following the ultimate of the clobbering time, and it does look like Nightmare are going to take map 1.
Absolute dominance out of Nightmare there over Shikigami. And considering what we saw out of Shikigami in previous matches and also in previous tournaments, this is a bit of a disappointing map for them so far to go down 0-1. Victory in favor of Nightmare, and you know it was so unfortunate, man. Shib, every time they picked off Millennia, brought back by a BRB, and they were not able to capitalize off of the downtime with Millennia not there. It was just so consistent from Nightmare to kind of slingshot, use Shikigami slingshot against them almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think they struggled a bit into some of those just frontline brawl. Like, Mace did a great job swapping up when needed. I do think Luka did a really strong, didn't fall once, didn't get KO'd a single time. I think it's really prevalent. I think we saw Craze Mang running that Venom a ton, right? So going into a consistent and non-stop run of having the Thing who's constantly shutting you down is so hard to handle, especially when he's constantly marking you. And we see the value out of that there. So really well done.
Yep, really well done indeed. And you know, moving forward, we'll see how Nightmare does on this next map. They have the edge, right? They have a huge advantage with that map win, especially in such a dominant fashion. We'll see if the bans and protects are different moving forward. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break, come back with some highlights. See you for bet number 2.
Map 1 comes to a close with Nightmare Shikigami, and Nightmare looked exceptionally good, shoving all the way through to 3 points and holding them on point 1. Just an absolute masterclass on that map. What'd you think?
Oh yeah, I mean it was absolute dominance by Nightmare throughout the whole map. I think that moving forward, they've got to feel good about that, considering you know they've been constantly improving. I feel like, you know, the hero pool, I feel like this was the number one thing that I was worried about for Nightmare. It was what was Luca's hero pool looking like, what was the rest of Nightmare's hero pool looking like, how are they going to play around these players. And you know, shout out to Luca for being able to pick up the Thing, play it to such a high level, and now Shikigami on the back foot, just ban out that Adam Warlock first. So group ban on their side for Nightmare. Don't want to go against that, obviously, and maybe that's going to matter further into the tournament, depending on which team progresses.
Yeah, that's the nuance of the banning stage at the highest level. It's if you're forced to ban something all the time, it gives the upper hand to. And I'm not saying they can't run Groot, right? Maybe they are working on that on the back end, but if you're forced to ban something every single time, just from any team's perspective, it does provide a huge advantage on the opposition, because from then on, you know where their weakness is and what kind of stuff you have to run or what you'd want to run based on what they've always been running, because you just know that they don't have more options than at least you do, or at least you know that information. So it is a little bit tricky. We are seeing the lock in here at Star-Lord. Wouldn't be surprised. We are going to ban out Namor and Warlock. Okay, so Warlock banned, immediately Star-Lord lock. So they are confident here on the Star-Lord for the side of Nightmare. We are going to see Luna locked in. So yeah, that's why. Well, I'm surprised they locked Luna and then banned Namor. So I guess Shikigami doesn't want to see that, but they just want the Luna on the field.
Yeah, that would make sense, considering maybe they're just confident in having days on Winter Soldier, maybe on the Hela. Maybe don't want to deal with the Namor, so they can get some flankers going if they really want to, with at least like maybe like dive characters like Magic, or like Days was showing you could play it earlier, right? We could see that. We could see Psylocke as well from a Median. Obviously, it didn't pan out for them even against a team without a Namor, considering, you know, Nightmare just peeled super well. Didn't look like they struggled at all. Shikigami's gameplay, and I think pretty obvious, though. It feels like they just make sure that Median's able to go for the dives with Krasmang, maybe get those one shots, feeling comfortable on it on this map, maybe comparatively to the previous one on Shin Shibuya now. I don't know. I don't know if it'll pan out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they know that Rocket's going to be run again, trying to boost Kendrick and just getting that ult quick. Kendrick, you know, obviously a ton of success on those Kraken impacts. We can't say it enough, right? But that, like I said, does lead a little bit of vulnerability in terms of using this Psylocke ultimate. It will find more value, or it'll pull out the only strategist ultimate. It's one of the only ways to handle it in the game right now, besides something like Loki Crystals, which is obviously banned out. So Psylocke's perfect situation, I would think, would be something like this at this moment. And especially with Namor off, even though I do think she plays pretty good into Namor as well. So we are seeing more of Psylocke in the meta. Definitely a strong hero in her own right. So off in the off angle, saw the Hela and panic there as Dinks dropped right back. Hela trying to get value. Psylocke going to make an early play, running for their life, trying to get back there and not get KO'd. Scatter holding this angle kind of weak here as they're starting to keep their pressure forward. A lot of off angling, really forcing the team to look in a circle instead of in a straight line. And that's what you need to do, driving them right back into that arcade.
What's the benefit of Nightmare's composition? Even if somebody's caught out, they can just kind of look towards that player, peel them back to the main force, and then reclaim the space in due time. They're kind of juggling the point as well, going back inside that arcade and back onto the point. Frozen on the right side. Shield though again. Kendrick with the shots on the Daze. The damage output was absurd. BRB will bring back Daze into the fight though.
Yeah, Days back in numbers are evened again. Millennia seeing this off angle, canceling it. Oh, wow, that is some good shots for the KO there on a Median. Mace gonna dunk onto Ricky. Another valuable Meteor M for Mace. Oh, Millennia showcasing the power here of Hela. And we do not, if I'm not mistaken, there is no Hela on the opposition right now, and that might be something that we will regret if I'm on Team Shikigami. I do think Hela's just in this state right now where if you're not trying to match it, you gotta ban it. But maybe I'm wrong. If you're consistent on that dive with Venom, I can see that getting shut down, especially with the Spider-Man, but not seeing it for Team Shikigami here.
Yeah, they've done it before where they've shut down Hela players, but also Median's a decent Hela player in their own right. So it is unique. It is interesting that they try to not run it. Here's Millennia on the right side. Median's gone. Wow. Traded out for Kraz, though, so the BRB going to be used for both teams. Or rather for a Median side, because he's got the BRB to him. Millennia does not have theirs, so that's a nice opening for Shikigami.
It was a good trade. Kendrick using that BRB. It just came back on cooldown, as you can see it over there. Does come back, so they are ready for that res on the side of Nightmare. Shikigami got a little bit of an advantage. And nice damage there from Craze to take out Pizza. That is going to be massive, because it does get rid of that BRB as well. Up in the sky with a dunk. Mace is going to take out Daze. Make that two back-to-back. Trying to find the Rocket. Rocket with good escape. And here comes the return dunk. Tries to throw the bubble out. Really well done in the positioning there by Mace, holding on to that. Millennia going to follow up on Scatter. And here comes the haymaker from Luca to drop a Median. And Shikigami's gonna have to try again on this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick did get wiped at the very least, but he's brought back by Pizza Demon.
I've got you covered.
And yeah, I mean, it's so tough, man, like, because you're trying to walk in on Dave's side, you're trying to get these flanks off on a Median, but Luca keeping everybody, you know, strong with the damage reduction just turns characters into raid bosses. So anytime you go for a dive on a target, like, they just, okay, now you have damage reduction, now you have a pocket from Invisible Woman, right? You get that shield, you get healed, so there's so much peel right now on Nightmare's side, and the game plan is working out to a T right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the damage reduction, that 30% per dash for 4 seconds when you're using the thing. It's very valuable at this stage of the game. People ask me all the time, and wait, well, hold on. As Daze is going to put one dunk down on Mace. Going to get the res. Bang! Gets 2. This might be enough to shove him through. Tried in the arcade. Great landing there. Not able to follow up and get the reset, but they are going to get some charge here about halfway. Will it be enough to push the first point?
They lost Kendrick. They lost Kraz coming in. BRB's there. Portal coming through the top side. Boundary as well. Wow. Secured the objective for the defensive side. Daze going down without the BRB. He is a large portion of your damage. And now Kendrick with the dunk onto Scatter.
Yeah, and he's just going to walk this thing. Raccoon's in trouble now. Ooh, very low. Trying to get the reset. Waiting it out. Trying to get the pull. Good idea. Not able to make it happen. Great positioning there from the Rocket. Well done there by Dinks. And now Millennia comes back in. Amadian falls. Ricky goes down with the KO. Mace switching over to that Strange for the Portal, getting a ton of value as Daze does the same thing, actually. Goes over to Strange, gets them back on point. It's anyone's fight at this point, but it's starting to look more and more in Nightmare's favor. Mace with a mean Eye of Agamotto taken out too, and that should be the tide changer as Venom now uses all the cooldowns. Is it going to be enough to give them this fight? We do see the Cosmic Yar and the res. Good focus there. Oh, not able to stuff it. As this is so back and forth. Pizza Demon takes out Craze. Dink's going to raise the Medium, but they do not touch Shikigami. Going to be held on point 1.
I mean, for Shikigami's side, that's so sad, right? They nothing worked for them the whole fight. You know, they were able to find an opening pick, but guess what? Brought back by our BRB, similarly to how it was earlier. And that's the tough part, right? If you play the Psylocke, if you play this full dive comp, you would think, okay, Psylocke, maybe go find that BRB, maybe make sure that's out of the fight. No, I didn't really use that, so I don't really know the benefit of running it. I'll be honest with you, dude. Like, it just feels like the Psylocke, not it.
Yeah,
that's my high level analysis. I don't know. It's just like every time they would go for a dive, Luca was there with the peel. They tried to come back in, and I don't know if it was because of strategists or whatever, but they couldn't keep Kraz alive sometimes too, which you would think you would be able to considering his HP pool, and Nightmare just played it so well.
Yeah. You get a lot of the question. I'm with you on the Psylocke. I'm not sure about it. I do think Psylocke has value, but we haven't seen these ults that just sweep backline and really force things out. Like, it just seems to be, I mean, obviously a ton of damage output. Amadian doing a great job on Psylocke. It's just a matter of the hero choice in general right now. Just the way that certain characters play, like having the thing in here, like you're saying, if you ever see someone in danger, you try to make that dash. I get asked a lot about brawl tanks, right? And why teams are choosing the thing over Thor. And there's a multitude of reasons. Thor is great in his own right, a very offensive Vanguard, but the thing has damage reduction, 30% for 4 seconds on virtually anyone, and its escape. Also has the denial of dive, right, with Yancey Street. Self-shielding, raw damage, and a team stun. There is just so much utility on his kit that it does not compare to something like Thor, who's obviously a very offensive Vanguard. So we aren't seeing a lot of Thor chosen for Brawl in this meta, just because there's just way too much of the Things kit to pass up on in decision making. So that is why you will see that more often as we take this fight on the off angle here. FaZe are doing a great job wrangling the team and still manages to get a pick on Amadian.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, like Nightmare was quote-unquote out of position there. I mean, the dive came through. Daze, oh my dude, wait, he's just lost on the map right now. Holy. Millennia, nice shots. And that's brutal. Kraz comes back through on the dive, but he's probably going to get Peel on the high ground like per usual. Kendrick as well wins the trades against Daze, and I mean, for Daze, Nightmare has had the lead over Shikigami. Amadian on the point, waiting it out. Right, Kraz comes back in for the dive, peels out. Here's that team up from the Rocket Raccoon. Amadian, nice dash away at the very least, but a tick's already been given. They have to funnel into the point now. Bubbles just to sustain, but man, that's so much damage into your face.
Jeez, yeah, just a ton of pressure here. Nightmare, you know, it's looking really bleak for the side of Shikigami here. The teleport comes through. This is likely going to be a 2-0 as they're pushing point even more staggering, and down goes everyone at this point. Stand in front of that portal and hold on, as this should go your way. Good punches here by Luca. Ton of utility on the ground, and there goes the ult. And just like that, Nightmare gonna take game 2 and take home this W.
Very impressive win for the side of Nightmare as well, putting themselves into that top 16, I believe. But you know, for Nightmare to beat out Shikigami, a team that was sort of on the rise in the Marvel Rivals Invitational, to knock them out of the tournament is massive, and to do it in such a fashion says a lot about this team right now. I think that in the current meta, with the thing, with the potential for other heroes to get banned, so there maybe a dive even comes out again for Nightmare. I think there's a lot of options for this team who is showing a lot more flexibility as of late, and I think that's promising for Nightmare, who, you know, obviously had to move on from their old team in Sentinels and now move on to this new team, and they look pretty good for a team that's, you know, just had to replace their entire roster.
Yeah, I mean, Mace, Millennia, Kendrick, all with a ton of final hits and eliminations up there with 8, 7, 8, 9. I mean, it was really, really clean. It seemed like everyone was doing their job, and every single time somebody was on an off fight in some sort of angle somewhere, you know, alone even, it was just going towards the side of Nightmare. I do think there's something to talk about when it comes to the discussion with Psylocke and maybe when Psylocke works. I do think she's still strong, but just not seeing it pan out in any of these games. So it's just starting to get tough to defend Psylocke right now.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like the character, it has its spots. I mean, it can be played. We've seen it get played before to, I mean, decent viability, but, you know, we'll see later on in the tournament how this character sort of pans out. It's like how we talked about burning Torch earlier. We talked about who else we talked about? Storm, like these characters. So a few of these characters that we thought were potentially going to be meta, maybe still on the outside by a little bit. Did I say burning Torch? I meant Human Torch. The hell am I on about? Anyway, we'll see if these characters are played later. We have one more game on the day, man, but let's take a look at these highlights before we enter that next series.